Which means we are live. Friday. I barely tell the difference between days anymore, especially when these slates all look the same. But Friday, November 2nd, we are here. The weekend is upon us shortly. Rough one yesterday. Didn't go as well as I would have liked, but you can erase it pretty quickly the next day. Adam, how you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. A little tired. Went out with some friends last night and kind of forgot that I'm getting old and today was going to suck.
Yeah, recovery becomes difficult as we age.
Yeah, it's not fun anymore.
It's really not. That is why I've transitioned to greener pastures.
Yeah, married life.
Yeah. Oh my God. I don't do anything ever. We got 8 games. 2, 4. Yep, I did it this time.
There you go.
I just love these balanced slates. It even keeps you in like the same sort of mindset in construction. You don't have to go like, oh, I'm playing a short slate today. Oh, I'm playing the biggest slate today. Just kind of like, it's always the same.
Yeah, it's perfect. I like it.
No James Harden, I assume. Hasn't been official yet, but it's looking like tomorrow. I had him in originally. Neither here nor there. None of these games are super appealing. I guess Warriors T-Wolves is interesting for all sorts of reasons in the late night hammer, but Magic, Clippers, Nets, Rockets, Bulls, Pacers, Wizards, Thunder, the return of Dwight, I guess, Mavs, Knicks, Jazz, Grit, like these are some really bad games.
Yeah, there's nothing that stands out as super exciting, that's for sure.
No, and there's no way that I'm staying up to watch Warriors Timberwolves tonight, unless we get word that like Jimmy Butler might stab Towns or something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'll be up. I don't know if I'll be watching it.
I hope that I'm asleep at that point. That's my goal. I should have no problem reaching that goal. All right, 8 games. Let's just dive into it. First game up on the docket, Magic and Clippers. Magic 107.5 implied total. Clippers 109. So Clippers are 1.5 point favorites in Orlando. We'll start on the Orlando side where, this entire game even, everybody's priced better on FanDuel than they are on DK, except for maybe John Isaac. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say John Isaac's probably going to cost me money again because I played him last game. He was like 3% owned. He absolutely sucked, but he still played, and I'm probably going to go right back to it.
Yeah, look, on DK, he's 4,400. He's 5,500 on FanDuel. Sometimes it's really just as simple as finding pricing inefficiencies, and I think that is one of them. I would certainly have some John Isaac on DraftKings. Clippers on the back-to-back road games too as well. Usually not a great sign. So who knows? The youth of Orlando, or at least some of the youth, might prevail. We'll start with Vooch, though. 8,900 on FanDuel, 8,600 on DK. Tough sell for me on DraftKings, but 8,900 against Gortat and Harrell, like I could see me wanting to have some interest in Vooch. I just don't ever trust him. 8,900 is a lot.
Yeah, I love targeting this matchup against the Clippers, though. Like, there's just nothing they can do defensively against, against bigs that have a strong offensive game like Vooch does. Gortat he's not a good defender. He's not a good rebounder. Harrell's an undersized small ball center that also is not good at defense. And then Boban, they just have nothing that can slow someone down. So it's a matchup that I absolutely love. I agree that the price tag's not super appealing, but I think it's a spot where he just has a monster ceiling.
Yeah, he was 7,900 at one point on FanDuel, 8,000, 8,200. He jumped to 8,800 against Sacramento, had a 43-point game, and now he's up to 89. That's a healthy price tag, but the matchup works.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just such a good spot for bigs.
Aaron Gordon, 7,900 on FanDuel, 7,200 on DK. I'm not super interested.
Yeah, Clippers are another team that's been really good in transition defense this year. And that I think hurts Gordon. Like he's always going to have a nice ceiling, but I prefer him in up tempo games where the other team struggles in transition. And that hasn't been the case with the Clippers so far, although it is a pace up game. Just defensively, they've actually been pretty good. So not in love with the spot for Gordon.
Okay, same page. Here's a guy that's going to kill me tonight for sure. Never Google. Evan Fournier, 5,700 on FanDuel, 5,500 on DraftKings. I had quite a bit of him 2 nights ago when the Magic played, whatever that was. And I took a little bit of a thumping from that one. I'm going right back.
Yeah, I attempted to pivot off Buddy Hield that night with Fournier. It went really, really poorly.
Perfect.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you. The price tag for the minutes that he plays and how involved he is in this offense. I mean, the guy's got about a 25% usage rate this year, but then he also is involved as a playmaker and picks up assists. There's no reason that you should expect him to disappoint at this price tag. Most of the time, you're going to get at the very least a reasonable game, and he certainly has upside.
It's funny that he's like when you mentioned his usage. He's a guy that a 24% usage rate is high, and I feel like when I watch him play, sometimes it's like he won't even have the ball for a quarter, and I just wonder how he ever gets to that number.
Right.
When I have him, I feel like he plays like a 15% usage guy,
yeah.
And then when I don't have him, he's like a 28 guy.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever actually had a good Evan Fournier game, but I have seen teams with him pass me often enough that I know he's capable of good games.
Manningdale City in chat. Hey Josh, do you play cash or big tourneys? Neither. I play small tourneys. I guess is the answer. I don't know if you mean by entry fee or by entrance.
I assumed he meant size.
Okay, then I guess big tourneys would be the answer. But if it's an entry fee question, it is small tourneys. We already touched on John Isaac, 4,400 on DK. Tough price to ignore. Anything else from Orlando? Bamba, Ross, Augustine?
No.
I don't know.
Augustine's price on DraftKings is probably going to get me in a little bit of trouble just because 4K for a guy that should play 27, 28 minutes. I mean, he's not a high upside guy, really, but I just think the price tag is a little cheap.
Okay. I don't know if anybody's noticed this. I put this in the spreadsheet yesterday. Column AD labeled as site. Positive numbers are going to show you a more advantageous price for FanDuel. Negative numbers, highlighted in red, going to show you a more advantageous price for DraftKings. So if you're trying to eyeball it here, it's split out here to the right. That's all. Yeah, no more for Orlando. Let's talk about the Clippers. My fade from yesterday, Tobias Harris, 7,700 on FanDuel, 7,300 on DK. Ultimately, it didn't kill me, so I'll take what I can get. Not a guy that I'm going to be going to. Any interest in Harris or Gallo, for that matter?
Harris's price actually dropped a little bit on DraftKings to 73, so I don't mind him. I mean, he's a guy that certainly has a ceiling. It's just that I've found pretty much all season long, especially playing DraftKings, where because of multi-position eligibility and because of the flexible roster construction, you kind of have to look across positions that even on days that I like Harris, I end up having, point guards at 7,300 or centers, that I play instead. So it's always been a roster construction issue with him, but I don't have a problem with him. Gallinari, I like more. Like when he's cheaper than Harris, I just end up playing Gallinari, and that's still the case here. It's nice that we've also seen Gallinari closing at the 5, pretty healthy amount of the time for the Clippers lately. I think just makes him a little bit more valuable.
Okay. Chat, good idea. I flip-flop the color scheme so that it matches the actual color scheme I have above the sites. That is a fucking great idea that didn't even cross my mind. So. Congrats to you guys for being smarter than me. That should help. Lou Will. I'm very happy with Lou Will from yesterday.
I wish he would do anything. I wish he would contribute anything other than scoring. That's what's keeping him from just having these monster games. I had a pretty good amount of him yesterday too. And I saw the box score first and I was like, oh, cool. He has 28 points. And I know he's 2% owned. And then I looked and I was like, oh, he has 29 fantasy points.
Yeah, it's really empty. Not that that's surprising. I wanted to point this out actually. So I have a column in my raw projection sheet where I have rates for every particular stat. And I do have a column called percent of points. So from a fantasy perspective, what percent of their fantasy points per possession come from just scoring. So the guys you would see, the guy at the top is JJ Redick, which should make obviously perfect sense. What I thought was really interesting, Lou Williams is 7th, and his recent rate of FanDuel scoring per possession, 0.496. So 0.496 FanDuel points per possession. Devin Booker is 0.502. So 6/1000th of a point separate Lou Williams from Devin Booker in terms of fantasy scoring. And they both are at 67% of their fantasy scoring just from points. You would never think that.
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
And then I think about it and it's just like, oh, cool. Like Devin Booker is just Lou Williams with 34 minutes a game.
Right.
Wild shit. I don't know. I thought it was crazy, but I haven't looked at it in a while. Any guesses as who gets the least amount of their fantasy output from scoring? There's a couple names at the bottom that aren't particularly relevant, so I'll give you anybody that you can get in like the top 20.
I feel like I have somebody like on the tip of my tongue that I know is right, and I can't think of the name. So I don't know.
Okay, well, Eric Moreland is the guy that comes in at the tippy top, but you were clearly not going to land on Eric Moreland.
That's what I was thinking of.
Draymond Green is the highest of anybody that has any relevance. He would be 6th. But
that makes sense. I think that's who I wanted to say.
Yeah, it's really crazy. Most of this list is dominated by big men. You know, it's Moreland and Bogut, Ekpe Udoh, Joakim Noah, Jordan Bell, Bebe Nogueira, Omar Ashik, and then you get to right under that Rondo. But Rondo's got the skill set of a big man at 6'2" or whatever he is. I like looking at that stuff. I'm gonna play Lou Will again tonight because he's still 5,300 on FanDuel.
Yeah, seems like a pretty good reason. 55 on DraftKings, still, perfectly fine. Never someone that I'm going to prioritize, obviously, but I mean, 5,500, he can still pay that off pretty easily. Yeah,
I'm comfortable with it. Like, I'll never regret any of the ownership that I give him. At the very least, he's not going to just go out there and get up 6 shots. It's just not his style.
Yeah, he's going to go out there and shoot.
Yeah, I'll take my chances. Over and over and over again. It's become a problem writing up the slam dunks because I feel like I just want to keep writing up these guys that have depressed salaries, but I can't just write the same shit every day.
Yeah, copy and paste.
I mean, that's what it makes it so that I'm almost lying in the article because I have to find a guy that I just haven't talked about that I'm also playing. Otherwise, it just it seems fake, but it's really just I'm playing those guys and it's working. So I don't know what to do. Harrell, 5,700 on FanDuel, 54 on DK.
Not for me. This Orlando front court has 2 7-footers at center. So if anything, I would think this is another Boban spot. Obviously last night's game was a bit of an anomaly because you had Gortat and Harrell both get in foul trouble early, and then Boban started the second half and played almost the entire half and went absolutely nuts. I wish that hadn't happened because it's going to just drive up his ownership today. But this is like the first spot where I feel pretty confident that he will get minutes just because Orlando, between Vucevic and Bamba, like they're not going to play small at the 5. So I don't think Harrell should steal a bunch of minutes. I think that, and Gortat doesn't close games. So I think that you're going to see Boban at some point out there matched up with one of the bigs, and then closing. It's just a matter of if it's Boban or if the Clippers go with their like super small lineup where they close with Beverley, Bradley, Williams, and then Harris, Gallinari.
Is Boban okay? Didn't he roll his ankle or something yesterday?
Yeah, he came back in.
Did he? Okay, just making sure.
I believe. I think so. Like I'm pretty sure I saw the tweet that he had gotten hurt like in the third quarter, but then he played like the entire rest of the game.
T McB says, just think of Rondo as a shorter Draymond. It's weird to think about, but almost like exactly true.
Yeah.
Without the defensive player of the year type upside any longer.
Yeah, without that.
Anybody else from the Clippers standing out to you? I get shares of Avery Bradley on FanDuel because he's $100 above the minimum and plays, but I'm pretty much good here. I guess Pat Bev would be the guy that you'd be interested in on DraftKings 4K.
Yeah, I'm going right back to it. He wasn't overly productive yesterday. He only got 20 fantasy points, but we did see 28 to 30 minutes from him that I've been saying is, I think, the plan on any given night. So as long as he's cheap, I'm going to just keep running him out there because he's always unowned. And I mean, he's a productive enough guy that if he does get his 28 to 30 minutes, he can, pay off that price easily.
Why is Patrick Beverley on the Clippers?
Uh, because they needed someone to replace Chris Paul.
I mean, I don't mean like how did he end up there? Fucker. But like he is tailor-made to be on a top 3 seed in either conference as like exactly what he should be. They have so many guards, and he is the one that like other teams would want for defense. And
yeah,
he has to get traded, right? Like just open up that time.
Yeah, especially with Gilgeous-Alexander there too.
Like he would be perfect on the Pels. I just don't know how he would get there.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, he's definitely the kind of guy that should be on a top contending team.
They're not, San Antonio.
They suck.
They're like 6-2 or something, are they?
I don't know, but they suck.
I think they've been like shockingly good.
They still suck.
They're 5-2 right now. They're the 4th in the West.
That's not going to last.
I don't think they suck. Okay, I don't think they're the old Spurs, and I don't think they're good, but they're going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think of them as like maybe making the playoffs, like as an 8 seed.
What's their plus minus right now? Yeah, plus 0.4 so far. 9th in offense, 21st in defense.
Yeah, I mean, the defense to me is the real problem with them.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to happen when you've got DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge and, I don't know, Patty Mills as your guys playing a lot of minutes.
Rudy Gay.
Yeah. We'll get to him. Oh, wait, they don't play today. Not a big Gay guy. Anything else for the clip show? I don't have anything.
No.
It's Lou Will for me, Avery Bradley for me. I don't like the Avery Bradley play, but different on FanDuel.
Yeah, and you can drop him.
Right, exactly. 3,600 for somebody that can play. Like, grab a couple steals for 3 points a piece on FanDuel, and you start loading it up. Murray, RIP. Oh, I get it. I got really nervous that Jamal Murray was out for the year or something when Caleb Dillon said Murray, RIP, but I get where you're going with that. Pat Bev for Brogdon and a pick. T McB.
That would actually be that would be a nice fit.
I don't like the pick involved. Second rounder maybe.
I wasn't thinking about the actual trade. I was just thinking about Beverley on the Bucks.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Spot track Bucks. I think Brogdon is in line for like a salary jump after this year, which is why I wouldn't put the pick on there. I'm looking it up now. This isn't just a DFS show any longer, people. All right, so Brogdon, yeah, he's a restricted free agent next year, so he's either going to play for the qualifying offer, which would be, I don't know, $6 million or so. So it'll be hard for me to say pick coming back. Both of them don't have any real future value. Anyway, Nets and Rockets, again, the expectation, no James Harden, although it is not official yet, but they're looking for tomorrow. 106.75 implied total for the Nets, 109.75 for the Rockets. So Rockets still 3-point favorites in Brooklyn. Rockets have been downright dreadful without Harden.
It's amazing what the addition of Carmelo Anthony can do to a team.
It's everything.
I'm blaming 100% of the Rockets' issues on Carmelo because Occam's razor, that's the simple solution or simple answer.
It's that along with Ariza and Mbamute. Like those 3 changes as a whole are the problem.
Yeah, I'm counting that as like one change. They replaced Ariza and Mbamute with Carmelo.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's super brutal. T McB, that's a good trade, man. I like that. Let's start with the Brooklyn side. Karis LeVert, 7,100 on FanDuel, 6,600 on DK. He's just not a guy that pops up a lot for me. I don't have him here. I don't particularly want to play him for 7,100, but I don't know. Maybe I should because it's the Rockets and they don't have a good defense any longer.
Yeah, he's someone that normally actually jumps out in my projections, and it always makes me nervous just because last year he was so inconsistent, and that's kind of what I have like ingrained in my head, but really hasn't been an issue this year. And he's the one guy on the Nets that I always feel confident in his minutes. Like he is going to play around 34 minutes most nights. Like that's what he plays. Whereas you have the guys like Russell, that play 30 to 32. Levert's the one that I always feel really confident in the minutes. The usage has been there. The assists are there. He's playing well alongside Russell. I don't love that the price tag's increased, but yeah, it's a Houston team that can't defend, and Levert's just been so good this year that I do like him. I assume he'll probably pop once I finish my projections again.
Okay. I don't have an aversion to it. I just don't expect to get to him. I'm trying to see where he's at here. In salary term, 71, and there's Tim Hardaway is 500 above him. Clay is 600 below him. It's kind of on an island. I'd rather go down to Fournier at 5,700 than play Levert at 71.
Yeah, I think that makes some sense. I think I would rather play. I was gonna say I'd rather play him than Clay. I guess it's close when you factor in that Clay's cheaper.
Yeah.
And then a good spot.
Jared Allen. This is a very clear DraftKings play. 6,500 on FanDuel, 5,100 on DK. You going to Jared Allen?
Yeah, that price tag's just stupid on DraftKings. Should be penciled in for around 30 minutes here. And yeah, I mean, we haven't really seen like monster games from him yet, but I don't think there's any reason to think that they don't come eventually. And this is again, it's just a nice spot against Houston. He's been pretty good defensively, so it's not like we have to, worry about him getting run off the floor by like Capella pick and roll or something. Like he should be fine there. Yeah, I think the 5,100 is just way too cheap.
Totally agree. I wouldn't get to him on FanDuel. I don't have a huge problem with it because I don't think this matchup is anything to write home about, but it's hard to pass up that price tag.
Yeah, for sure. Even before like I go in and make any changes, he's just popping up as like a 6x guy on DraftKings.
Yeah, absolutely. I have him at 5.6 right now, and that's pretty high in comparison. I'm generally lower on stuff like that. D'Angelo Russell, no thank you. Getting less minutes. Man. What is going to happen? What does his career look like 5 years from now?
I don't know. Nick Young standing in a corner chucking threes.
Maybe. Swaggy D.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean the minutes have been really annoying for him. I haven't really been playing him much this year. There's still upside when his price drops, I think. 6,200 on DraftKings is just tough to get there. Like if he goes out and throws up 40, then great. But I feel pretty comfortable just having other guys.
As do I.
Like the Nets, outside of Levert, the Nets just play such a like flat rotation where everyone plays not enough minutes to really to consistently be worth where they're priced, with the exception of Jared Allen, being free.
Grab it. Ownership is out, so I'm grabbing that. I don't know if you want to pull up DK for your side. I'll have FanDuel loaded in here.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get it up.
Ooh. I wish that he wasn't the chalk guy, but I'm not surprised. We'll get to it. He's also my chalk guy, so. Yikes. Anybody from those first couple games that have any ownership? First game, Magic and the Clippers. Nothing. Okay, we have one person to talk about, but we're gonna get to it in the next team. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson is a guy that I'm getting a ton of. 5,400 on FanDuel, 4,900 on DK. I expect to have him in abundance today. I'm curious what your thoughts are.
I keep playing him in tournaments because he has so much upside at his price if he's going to get the minutes. We saw him play 27 minutes a couple of games ago, so I was like really excited against the Pistons. I actually thought he was going to draw the start. He didn't. And then he played 25 minutes, including overtime. So the minutes are obviously the huge concern, and it's why I'll keep my exposure to him probably pretty low. But the nice thing is like he's generally not popular. He's projected to be 24% owned on DraftKings right now. I don't think that's going to hold just because the game logs aren't there. But yeah, I mean, it's all a guessing game on if he gets the minutes for whatever reason. Like Jared Dudley's still playing. He played 30 minutes against the Pistons. Yeah. Hang on. So Hollis-Jefferson played alongside Dudley, and okay. So Hollis-Jefferson played center in overtime against the Pistons.
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't play much center. He played a little bit of center during during regulation. Most of his time was alongside Ed Davis, though.
Yeah,
but
he's going to be real chalky.
What'd you say?
I said he's going to be real chalky.
Why?
I don't know. Oh, FanDuel 5,400 I think is a decent reason why.
Yeah, I mean he's 49 on DraftKings, but like I don't know, people just go by game logs. I feel like, and they're not good.
PJ Tucker is $100 more than Rondae Hollis-Jefferson tonight, and those are just two dramatically different people separated by $100.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean I don't know if Hollis-Jefferson is really going to be 25% on DraftKings, I'll go on their weight.
Yeah,
just because there's so much volatility in his minutes, but I think he probably ends up being like 10 to 15%, in which case I'll probably have a little bit more.
Makes sense.
Like my guess, and I haven't crunched yet, my guess would be that I end up coming in at like 15% Hollis-Jefferson or 20%.
Okay. Anything for Dinwiddie, Harris, Crabbe, Ed Davis? I get little bits of all these guys because they're all relatively low priced and better priced on FanDuel.
Yeah, exactly. I'll probably do the same thing with Brooklyn today that I did against the Pistons, and I talked about it a little bit. Like, the rotation is so kind of random from game to game that I like to project these guys to play, like as many minutes as I can reasonably, estimate that they could play, and then just limit my exposure to them, because obviously that'll make them pop up. But, limit my exposure to them, make sure that I don't have a bunch of them together and go there, because there's going to be a couple of guys from Brooklyn that probably get more minutes than a median projection and probably do well. It's just a matter of guessing on a game-by-game basis who they are. So I kind of like to over-project them and then limit my exposure for this team.
I completely agree with you. Get a couple bites at whoever it could be that pops off.
Yeah, exactly.
On the Houston side, this is another team that is dramatically better priced on FanDuel than they are on DraftKings. We'll start with Chris Paul. 9,100 on FanDuel, 9,400 on DK. You're not going there at all, I would imagine, or at least not much.
I want to go back there.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, he's been really bad the first two games without Harden, but I don't buy into that. Like, he still gets a ton of usage. He still, is very involved with the ball in his hands, a lot of assist opportunities, and people are just going to be down on him. So, yeah, I'm going to keep firing Chris Paul.
Ooh, that's a tough sell for me. At that price on DK, that's a really tough sell for me.
I mean, I think he should be like a 1.5 fantasy point per minute guy. So I don't think that price is that bad if you can actually get that kind of production out of him.
Taking a look at what's around him. Is he point guard, shooting guard, or just point guard?
Point guard.
So the alternatives around Paul would be 10-3 Curry, $8,700 Oladipo. I mean, John Wall at 81 is probably the only clear mark for me. Yeah, I guess for some reason that works.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the last against Portland, Chris Paul was 6 for 19 shooting.
Yeah.
2 of 8 from 3.
Did you see any of that game?
Nah.
I know Eddie had it on because he was talking about it, when Chris Paul would just he'd miss 2 layups, or he'd dish to someone and they'd miss a layup. Like, it was a lot of missed opportunity on things that are generally high likelihood outcomes.
Yeah. See, I mean, the 2 games without Harden, he has a 23.9 and a 25.2% usage rate. That's lower than I would like, and I'm going to also blame that on Carmelo. But even so, he's shot 9 for 32.
Yeah, that's rough.
So, yeah.
So I assume you would really like him for 91 on FanDuel.
Yeah, love it.
Okay. Yeah, I got 11% on my first crunch. He's $300 cheaper than John Wall on FanDuel.
Yeah, that makes it even better. Because, I mean, that's the one issue. Like you said, is Wall being $1,300 less on DraftKings.
Yeah. And then Kyle Lowry is $200 cheaper than Paul. I like Paul more on FanDuel by a mile. And As
Yep.
he should be. The price is crazy. Speaking of crazy prices, we'll keep going in Houston. Clint Capella, 8,400 on FanDuel, 7,800 on DK. Clint Capella, chalk center for the day on FanDuel. 21% expected ownership right now. Not really a spot I want to go to outside of the fact that Brooklyn got eaten alive by centers last year. And I don't really know how to rationalize that anymore.
Right. I think it's a perfectly fine spot. My concern, and we've talked about it since Harden's been out, Capella's been good in those games, but going back to last year, we see him be less productive when he plays with Paul compared to Harden. Like he just has such a good rapport in the pick and roll with Harden, and he's averaged since last year with Harden on and Paul off. Capella's averaged about 1.3 points per minute. When you flip that and put Paul on and take off Harden, you get down to 1.1. That's not to say he doesn't have upside, but people just like keep plugging in Capella, and it becomes an ownership issue in tournaments, especially at a center position where there's always upside basically throughout the pricing range. It's like I don't want to pay a premium for a popular center who is in the least productive spot he is like ever going to be in as far as personnel on the floor.
I'm with you. I don't see this as a great spot, especially if Capella is highly owned. My only reservations are all based on anchoring to last year's Brooklyn team and how you would take any center that played them, basically.
Right. Yeah, I think I'm not concerned about the matchup, and I expect him to be productive, but it's like if he plays, 35 minutes at 1.1 points per minute, that's, 38, 40 points. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's probably not like winning you a tournament at center, but it's not hurting you.
Yeah, I'd be very I think Capella would be relatively safe for cash.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily love his price point for a tournament.
On DraftKings, though, like I'm just kind of scrolling through center now. Center actually isn't that great, so I probably actually will end up with a good amount of Capella there. Just looking because it's like Marc Gasol against Utah.
I
Rudy
love that
Gobert.
Marc Gasol price against Utah today.
Yeah, it's a nice price, but I don't know. I think I'm not a huge Marc Gasol DFS fan.
How many minutes do you think Marc Gasol plays today?
34.
Okay. I have him in for 32, and he's an incredible value at that number. So we'll get to that, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, I think that I think Gasol's fine, but like he's not someone that I'm looking at it like, holy shit, like how can I not play Marc Gasol here?
Right.
Gobert against Memphis, it's fine. Jordan against the Knicks is fine, but he's up to 8,300. Do I want to pay $500 more for DeAndre Jordan than Clint Capella? I love the spot for Vucevic, but even that's like $800 more. So just because of the options around him, I think I'll probably actually end up with a good amount of Capella.
I'd rather have Draymond at 69, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I might just naturally be low on Capella. He grades out in this whole mess of dudes. He just grades out lower than all of them around here. I would really need to be forcing him in. So I hope I'm wrong. Well, I hope I'm right for my sake.
Yeah.
Eric Gordon seems to be the value play of the day. 5,500 on FanDuel, 5,900 on DK. These prices, man, they're not even remotely close to each other. We only have Eric Gordon projected for 11% ownership. I'll have triple that, 5,500.
Yeah, that's a nice price for sure. Especially but the one thing that I don't like is that he's not getting a ton of backup point guard run, which I fully expected him to get when Harden went out. But if you look at the rotation against Portland, in the first quarter, you had Paul go out at the 6-minute mark. Gordon stayed on the floor until like 3 minutes. So he got a few minutes there. But then he played basically alongside Paul the entire second quarter, except for a couple minutes. He subbed out before Paul in the third quarter, and he played all of his fourth quarter minutes alongside Paul. He's someone that is going to be much, much more productive when Chris Paul's not on the floor, and he's only getting 5-6 minutes without Paul. So that's a bit concerning for me.
Here's all that matters. This is it. This is the only thing that matters. He's 4 for 26 from 3 in his last 3 games.
That is probably going to improve.
He's 12 for 53 from the field in those games. He played 31, 33, and 40 minutes. His salary was $6,400 in the most recent game. It's down $900. Yeah, I'm just going to assume that he'll make a bucket.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. He had tough matchups too. Utah, Clippers, Portland.
Yeah. Either way, it's just he's not going to be 4 for whatever the fuck from 3
Yeah.
moving forward. So
Yeah.
if he's going to okay. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
not that I'm trying to convince you.
No. I mean, I agree. Like, the usage has been there. The assists are like concerning. Like, I hate relying on Eric Gordon, the scorer, and he's just not getting assists because of playing with ball. But yeah, from an upside standpoint, for sure, if you can pay less than $6,000 for a guy that's chucking up shots like that, and that is going to play monster minutes if the game stays competitive, that's the other thing. Like, those games blew out, and he still got that many shots. So, yeah, it certainly has a ceiling.
Eric Gordon in between Devin Booker and Lou Williams in percentage of fantasy points based solely on points. 66% of his fantasy scoring coming from scoring.
Wow. So that would, I mean, at least the way I think about different game types, I would prefer him in tournaments to cash games because of how dependent he is on scoring.
Yep. Exactly. Melo, 6,200 on FanDuel, 5,800 on DK.
Who? Oh, Melo.
I didn't know if that was a gimmick or not.
No, I didn't understand who you said. I thought you said LL. I was like,
yes, LL Cool J
yeah.
suiting up for Houston now with
better
James
at
Harden
basketball.
out. It couldn't be worse.
Yeah, I don't know, 5,800 on DraftKings, whatever. I'm not like piling him in like I was at 5,300 and 4,900. I'm not talking anyone off of him. Like, whatever I end up with, probably I'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't expect to get a lot. If I do get any, I'm cool with it. Whatever.
Yeah, it just seems like a very neutral play now that his price tag's come up a little bit.
Anybody else on this team? PJ Tucker at 4,500 on DK.
Yeah, Tucker's fine. Don't love him, but whatever, the minutes should be there. I'm looking to see what Gerald Green did minutes wise. Yeah, Green in the game, the first game without Harden, he was in foul trouble, and then he got there during blowout time. Didn't play a ton of minutes against Portland, ended up at 26, but got some of that during garbage time as well. So not really looking at Gerald Green.
Same. Oh, no, Jerry Green. Let's get out of this game. But first, quick plug. Like and subscribe, everybody. Super helpful for us. You guys crushed the like button yesterday, and that went really well for us. If you want to try us out, promo code NBA Strategy, one big word. You can use that on any package for a 7-day free trial, including packages that have Fantasy Cruncher. So you can test out everything at awesemo.com, including Fantasy Cruncher, for 7 days. No cost to you. Promo code's on the screen. To the Bulls we go. Chicago Bulls, Indiana Pacers. Bulls 103.5 implied total. Pacers 110.5. Pacers 7-point favorites in Chicago. Black. Bulls, much more interesting team on DK. $8,300 Zach LaVine on FanDuel, $7,600 on DK. Not a guy that I have much interest in for today.
I still do on DraftKings.
I don't have a problem with it. If he came up, that would be fine. But I don't love this spot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love the spot. I assume we'll see plenty of Victor Oladipo, which isn't great. But at that price tag and with how many minutes LaVine's locked into, it's kind of just been like plug and play for me the entire season. I mean, the guy's going to go out and give you like a low to mid 30s usage rate and be almost this entire offense. So it's really hard for me not to like him when he's still $7,600.
I get it. What's his eligibility on DK? Point guard, shooting guard?
Yeah, point guard, shooting guard.
So who's around him? Butler at 8. Like, I'd rather have Butler at 8K, I think.
Yeah, I'll take LaVine.
Interesting. Okay. I assume you would rather have Wall for 500 more?
I think it's really close. I'd probably take LaVine.
What about Beal at $600 less?
LaVine.
Okay. Yeah, we're on different spots for LaVine then.
He just, I don't know. For me, he just shoots so much. I can't not like him. And the minutes are just so consistent as long as the game stays competitive.
How is he? I assume he has like a really poor turnover rate. Do you happen to know that off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head. I'm just kind of glancing at game logs. 2, 3,
Whew.
9, 2, 3, 5, 3, 5,
Yeah.
4. Now we're into like last season.
15.6% turnover rate. It's 13th percentile for a wing. Pacers defense this year, 3rd in turnover rate. Bulls offense, 22nd. Will be something to keep in mind. Maybe another tick in the direction of not really liking Levine on FanDuel, where turnovers are twice as important than they are on DraftKings.
So
Yep.
if you don't like the spot for Levine, do you like it more for Parker?
I don't really like anything on Chicago. I would like Parker more on DraftKings than I would Levine, but it's pretty close. I would rather just not have either guy.
Yeah, so I mean, Parker obviously sucked last game. I'm trying to look and see. He only got up 10 shots, 13.5% usage. That was just an ugly game. But he did play 36 minutes. So I think it's a spot where if his ownership's going to be down, like he was, 30% owned on DraftKings that day. If people are going to shy away from going there, there's still a ton of upside, I think, at 5,800.
800. Yeah, he could get more minutes, and that would make him more appealing to me. Just really nervous about that Pacers D. Not the spot for me. One guy that I would want, and this should be very little shock, Wendell Carter, 7,200 on FanDuel, 5,000 on DraftKings.
Yeah, he should be one of the highest owned guys.
Yeah, it's just a really silly price point. And it's been a silly price point for a couple days, so I don't know what's causing it to not get corrected.
My guess is that his average minutes for the season are lower than like his projected minutes, because he had games where there was either like a blowout and he lost minutes, or he was in foul trouble several times and lost minutes. So I think that if they're factoring in, something like, projected like average minutes, he's probably, I don't have it in front of me, but I would guess that he's probably coming in like 4 or 5 minutes less than the 30 to 32 that you would actually project him for.
Sure. Yeah, he's just, I mean, this price differential is insanity. It's by far the biggest gap in price, either direction. So go to him and largely avoid him on FanDuel. Anybody else? Justin Holiday, Cam Payne, Archie, any of the rest of the slop at the bottom?
Payne's 4K. This $4,000 price tag for point guards on DraftKings is gonna get me in trouble today, because I'm gonna end up playing a bunch of guys that suck.
Yeah,
but
4K for Cam Payne, I think, is a very nice spot.
Yeah, I mean, and it's one of those, like, you're not going to it with a ton of confidence, but we know he has upside at that price, and his inconsistency drives ownership lower than it should be given the upside. So it kind of gives you a spot where I don't have to put a huge part of my night on Payne, but I can still comfortably be overweight on him in tournaments.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to be advocating for like 30% campaign or anything, but you can get there with just a little amount of and it could work out really well.
Like him, Pat Beverley, and DJ Augustine all at $4,000. I don't need to play 30% of any of them to be, ahead of the field, and I can kind of just rotate those guys into lineups where I need a 4K point guard, and probably at least one of them is going to have a good game, since they all should play around 30 minutes.
Yep, that's the way you got to think about this sort of stuff. It's not necessarily just about someone's name and who they are and how they play. Everything's relative. Any Archie or Felicio or any of these guys, Chandler Hutchison, I don't know.
No.
Okay, cool.
Because of Wendell Carter's price tag on DraftKings and the stupid, insane amount of ownership that I would assume he's going to get,
Felicio for 3,300.
Felicio pivot in large field tournaments makes a ton of sense, just because it not only is it a pivot off of a popular guy, but it's a perfect leverage play. If Felicio gets 26 minutes because Carter's in foul trouble or something, every minute that Felicio plays is a minute that Carter is not playing. And so if you have Carter at 35% owned or something, and Felicio at 3%, it's really easy to, like, in the outlier event where Felicio plays more minutes than Carter, you're just passing such a large percentage of the field that it's worth having some lineups like that.
Okay. I completely agree. If
Carter weren't popular, there would be no point in taking that risk. But just because of Carter's popularity, it becomes pretty valuable.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of like stacking a baseball team against a jock pitcher.
Exactly. Yeah. Very good comparison.
To the Indiana Pacers. Pacers are, one of the better teams for FanDuel. Their pricing is kind of insane. Victor Oladipo, $9K on FanDuel, $8,700 on DraftKings. I like Oladipo here. It's really hard not to. The Bulls' defense is downright terrible. 9% above average in terms of fantasy points allowed per possession. I want to have some Oladipo. What do you think?
Yep. Great spot for him. I don't love the price tag, but again, he's a guy that should play huge minutes as long as the game stays competitive. It's going to be a good spot for him to rack up defensive stats, assuming he's defending Zach LaVine for a large percentage of the time. Chicago's defense sucks. Yeah, I think it's a really, really good Oladipo spot.
Yeah, in theory, he should be like 8K on DraftKings if we consider the FanDuel price to be correct. Similarly, Miles Turner, 6K on both sites, a guy that I would like to have in some of my lineups because too cheap.
Yeah, him and Sabonis both. They're another example of guys that in my tournament projections, I over project their minutes a little bit. And then I'm just cognizant of that when I make lineups and make sure that I don't get, heaping amounts of them. But they're both just such high upside guys with volatile minutes, especially Sabonis. I mean, his minutes, you can never confidently project him for a lot of minutes, but he's such a monster when he's out there that I want to make sure I have exposure to the games where Sabonis does get more minutes, like last game where he put up 50 or whatever. So I kind of, even though Turner and Sabonis combined, they're going to probably play 52 minutes total or somewhere in that range, I always kind of project them for like 56 or 57 and then just don't play them together and limit my exposure.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think most people should be doing in that case. It's hard to project them individually. They won't pop a lot with median projections. Thad Young seems to be priced correctly on both sides. 6,100, 5,200. It's not a spot for me. Any interest?
No, not really. I mean, like guys against Chicago, I'm not going to talk you off, but right. It doesn't seem like something I'm going to prioritize.
Sabonis is $300 cheaper on FanDuel than DK. Another, I'm in for Sabonis. I'm in for Miles Turner. No thank you on Tyreek, even though the price is nice. He's just not playing.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of that. I don't know why he's not. I mean, apparently he just likes to drink and that's like frowned upon. But
yeah, I guess that could be the problem.
Yeah. So don't worry about that guy. No interest for me on Collison. I don't really have any interest in anybody else on this squad. I guess I would play Corey Joseph on FanDuel as a $3,900 punt, particularly against the Bulls. You think Joseph would get the run if this game gets out of hand?
Yeah, he should. And he also, I don't know what happened against the Knicks, but he played like the entire fourth quarter. He ended up playing more minutes than Collison, which was really annoying to me because I had Collison in some very good lineups. But yeah, like I'm going to end up going back to Collison today at 4,600. Okay. But yeah, Joseph, I would assume, gets run if the game gets out of hand.
Okay. That might be another reason if you want to use him as a punt on FanDuel. It could be a reasonable proposition since the Bulls are indeed dookie.
I'm trying to pull up their... Yeah, so the Bulls are allowing the 6th most points per possession in transition this season. They have allowed the 7th highest effective field goal percentage. Bogdanovich is 4,800. He's never someone that I'm super confident in since he is so scoring dependent, but he should play pretty big minutes, and he's a guy that when he, like, the matchups you want him in are ones against teams that struggle in transition, so I think that's worth pointing out.
Trying to hop to this now. You said the Bulls are what in transition?
6th worst in points per possession, 7th worst in effective field goal percentage.
Indiana Pacers in transition, 3rd in points per possession. They are the number 1 team in scoring off of steals. I think that is very interesting because the Bulls are 22nd in turnover rate, and Victor Oladipo absolutely loves stealing the ball.
Yeah, Oladipo is another very, very good transition player. So
Yeah.
it's just a spot where the individual players on the Pacers match up phenomenally well with the Bulls' biggest weaknesses. Like they have a lot of them, but like their most glaring ones just are so perfect for guys on the Pacers.
Speaking of glaring things, Victor Oladipo's projected ownership as of right now on FanDuel, 1%.
I would like more than 1% Victor Oladipo.
I would also like more than 1%, and I will have way more than 1%. I hope it stays there so that I can at least write one slam dunk in terms of things that are new and things I like.
So I just pulled up the Pacers' offensive numbers in transition. Oladipo leads the team 5.3 transition possessions per game. Hasn't been incredibly efficient. Ranks in about the 50th percentile in points per possession, but facing a Bulls team that's going to improve his efficiency. It's nice seeing the 5+ possessions per game. Bogdanovich, second on the team, tied with Evans, 3.5 possessions per game, ranks in the 87th percentile in efficiency with 1.43 points per possession. 28.6% of his possessions are in come in transition. So that's why in games like this, Bogdanovich is someone that I prefer just because nobody ever rosters him, but it's just such a perfect game for the way that he plays.
Yeah, I'm liking the Pacers more and more. I pray that Victor Oladipo stays at 1%. I'll have miles above that number. But even if it gets to 5, Pacers by 7.
I think I would bet the Pacers too.
There you go.
Not that I bet sports, and you should definitely not take my sports betting advice ever. But it just seems like
you should never take anyone's sports betting advice at this point, unless you're betting with like a bookie or someone that could have a stale line. I don't totally believe in sports betting at an efficient sports book. That's another show.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted that disclaimer that if I say that that I would bet on something, it's with hypothetical dollars that I'm not actually betting, and I would not listen to me.
Perfect. Anything else in Bulls Pacers?
No, I think we covered every single player on the Pacers.
Perfect. Wizards and Thunder. Wiz 115.75 implied total. Thunder 112.75. Wizards miraculously 3-point favorites, even though they are absolutely dreadful.
I would also bet against the Wizards.
But I'm going to be playing a healthy amount of them.
Yeah, I'm really, really interested to see what happens with Dwight Howard. I have concerns about him and John Wall. Well, I mean, I have a lot of concerns about a lot of things with the Wizards, but
do you now?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it could be a kind of awkward fit. So I'm concerned about that. But the fact that Wall is $8,100 means that there's obviously more reward than risk. So I'm still going to go there. I don't know. I'm trying to pull up because we saw how much worse Dwight Howard made Kemba last year. And Kemba obviously is one of the league leaders in pick and roll. And Howard, to this point in his career, has just kind of not had any interest in being the roll man and pick and roll. So I think that it could be a downgrade for Wall as well.
Yeah, Wall 9,400 on FanDuel, 8,100 on DK. I think he has to be looked at DraftKings, and I think he's a pretty tough sell on FanDuel.
Yeah, that seems right.
Good defensive matchup. I mean, it's no matter what you want to say about individuals on the Thunder, they're limiting fantasy points per possession by 6%. But it's a tough spot. And, if Chris Paul is cheaper than him, if you want to spend a little bit more and go to Curry or Westbrook and feel a little bit more comfortable, I like that. I got a lot of Wall on my first crunch. I don't anticipate that sticking around. I really just don't like that for 9,400.
Yeah, Oklahoma City's been surprisingly good defensively this year. Like we saw them how awful they were without Roberson on the floor last year, but it seems like they fixed that. Top 5 defensive rating so far this season. Not that that's everything or all that important. It's just kind of a easy, quick way to gauge. They haven't been dog shit defensively like they were last year.
What do you think? What do you like about Beal though? $7K on DK is a really nice price point for him.
Yeah, I mean it's basically just like a price play. It's not a great matchup, obviously,
Right.
but he's going to play 36 to 38 minutes. He's going to get his shots, and he also is a little bit more involved this season in ball handling aspects and playmaking and picking up assists. So it's just a play where it's like really, really unlikely that he fails, and there's certainly a ceiling. And
Yeah.
I mean, I really like getting guys like that into my lineup, obviously, but just like even in tournaments, ceiling is all that I care about. But when you get a guy that his floor is so high for the price, it's obviously nice because it's just a piece where he's probably not going to tank your lineup.
Chat says Wall Beal stack. I would not abdicate that today.
Yeah, I mean, bring it back with Westbrook if you do, I guess. But
yeah. Any Otto Porter for you? 6K on FanDuel, 54 on DraftKings.
I'm good.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, with Howard, he's kind of just like Porter's the peripheral piece where if stuff breaks his way, he obviously can have a good game, but he'd be the guy that I'm most concerned about just kind of disappearing with Keefe back and with Howard in the lineup. We've already seen Porter not really getting his shots and bitching about it. So I don't really have confidence that he is a high usage guy. Now that Howard's here too.
We had the question, what is Beal's percentage of points in the scoring metric? Beal gets 62% of his fantasy scoring from points. He is in the exact same tier as three other guys. Andrew Wiggins, DeMar DeRozan, Donovan Mitchell, stacked on top of each other. Boom, 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 boom. One of those guys is not like the other.
Is that for this season?
So it's for like everything. It's all regressed box score data over the past couple of years. So
okay, that makes sense. I was just because like DeRozan's been getting more assists this year, and so is Booker.
Yeah, this is so like that's factored in. DeRozan's assist rate now is higher than it ever was in my stuff, but it's still taking into account a lot of last year.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but Wiggins, not the same sort of guy there. All Beal, DeRozan, and Mitchell all above 0.5 FanDuel points per possession. Wiggins at a crisp 0.432. God damn, he's awful. You're not playing Dwight, right? I mean, you can on DK because he's 5,200, but the report yesterday saying that it hurts him to sit down is not appealing. So unless they're planning on playing him 48 minutes so he doesn't have to park his ass, this seems like a bad spot.
Yeah, I mean, obviously limiting any exposure I do get, the price tag gives you upside, but I have no confidence in him going out there and playing like 34 minutes or something.
No, I put him in for 21. I have a hard time going much higher than that. It doesn't seem like they're just going to run him out there.
Yeah, I mean, he missed the entire preseason. He has missed the entire regular season up to this point. It's hard to imagine Dwight Howard just going out there and running up and down the floor for 30 minutes.
Or lightly jogging even.
Yeah.
So the top half of the Wizards are all very nice on DK. The bottom half is all significantly more interesting on FanDuel. Markieff Morris, 5,200 on FanDuel, 5,600 on DK. I assume he goes overlooked. Do we have any ownership on him right now? 11%. Holy shit. He's not even getting overlooked so far in our ownership. But from a price perspective, that's a nice spot.
Yeah.
Same for Oubre, 4,300 on FanDuel, 4,800 on DK. A guy that I would want to take a flyer on.
It's tough for me with Oubre just because of the team finally being healthy now. It's hard to figure out where all the minutes are going to come from now that the Wizards have, a center back in the mix. There's going to be less small ball lineups I would expect. And then you have Keefe back too. It just kind of gets hard to find minutes for Oubre and Green and Rivers.
Yeah. Jared Wheeler making the same joke as somebody else did in our Slack. If it hurts to sit, shouldn't Dwight been playing? I assume that playing basketball is more aggressive than sitting. So if sitting hurts, you don't do something more difficult. But I also made the same joke, so I'm not really in any position to criticize. I'm good on the rest of the Wizards. Let's go to the OKC side where Russell Westbrook at 11-7 on FanDuel and 10-9 on DK will be a guy I have in quite a bit of my lineups.
As you should. Yep. I mean, it's just another guy. Like the floor is so high, especially on DraftKings where he's still less than $11,000. We haven't had like a monster breakout game yet, but it's really unlikely that he goes out and puts up 40 points and then kills you. He's probably going to go like 50, 55 and you'll be whatever with it, but there's always the upside for more.
Yeah, he started off really rough yesterday, and it was like, it's fine. He'll get to 24, 9 and 9 or something by the end of it all. It just might not be the most efficient game. We only have him projected for 17% ownership, and I hope that holds because I'll have like 50 something.
Yeah, I doubt I get that high. I actually yesterday I had ended up having to force him in. Like my initial crunches, I had like 4%, and I ended up having to manually get him to like 15. But I doubt that I'll end up with like tons of him here. But I do think it's a good spot.
And that is a good time to point out the caveat of the differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. Now that you're able to drop your lowest score, I'm just naturally getting all of these top guys significantly more because I have so much more money to spend on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
It totally changes the structure of lineup construction. You can still hear me, right?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you're frozen on the screen.
Oh, good. Yeah, no, I can hear you.
Ship my modem, DSL, ladies and gentlemen. We'll keep going while he's a still frame. Let's check out Paul George. 9,800 on FanDuel, 9K on DK. I have no interest in Paul George. The only thing that's appealing is the fact that the Wizards are in disarray and have been dreadful on defense.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only the argument you make for George is if Westbrook does become really, really popular, if Westbrook doesn't have a monster game, Paul George probably does. But George's price, I think, is just too expensive for when he plays alongside Westbrook.
Yeah, like I would much rather just pay $500 more for Kawhi on FanDuel or $900 more for Kevin Durant. The next closest guy to George below him is Gallo at $7,000. So there's a $2,800 gap between Paul George and Danilo Gallinari today. I can't imagine wanting to go to George. He's just in too bad of a spot. But if his ownership stays at 2%, then I think having 2% might be worth it for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would just much rather go to Westbrook or even Steven Adams from this team.
Yeah. See if you could refresh the appear in call. You'll pop out, but whatever. There we go. Hopefully this works. He might never come back. This was a risky proposition. Very risky proposition. Uh-oh. Connecting. Back and moving. I love it.
I see me again.
Yeah. I was like, uh-oh, this might be risky. He might never come back.
Right. Yeah, it's going to come up like no internet.
Adams, 7,500 on FanDuel, 7,100 on DK in a damn tasty matchup against the gimpy Dwight Howard.
Yeah, I mean, this Washington team has just been absolutely awful rebounding, and Howard should improve that. But you're still talking about an probably not conditioned and it's still injured Dwight Howard. Yeah, I like Steven Adams, especially because, like we had just said when we were talking about Capella, center is actually not that great today.
Yeah.
So it makes it easier to get to Adams.
And that's another key point against Dwight Howard. Like, he's getting a matchup where Steven Adams is going to throw himself into Dwight Howard over and over and over again. He's not exactly getting a matchup with like a non-physical center. I mean, this is brutal.
Yeah, it's bad. And one of the best offensive rebounders in basketball going against a team that hasn't been able to rebound the ball at all. And, an injured Howard, it's, I think, a really good spot. And it also is a positive correlation play with Westbrook because so many of Adams' baskets are on assists from Westbrook.
Yeah, or putbacks on Westbrook misses.
Correct, yeah.
When Westbrook's going to shoot 28% from three, that's 72% missed three-pointers that Adams can corral.
That is true.
Dennis Schroeder, 5,100 on FanDuel, 5,300 on DK. Yeah, he's going to be someone I have. I'm really sick and tired of it, but he's too cheap.
Yeah, I have no interest.
None at all. Would you have interest if you were playing on FanDuel? He put up 33 fantasy points in 30 minutes yesterday, 7 of 15 from the field.
Not really. I mean, I just have trouble projecting him for enough minutes for me to want to play him, especially when most of those minutes are coming with Westbrook.
I get it. I totally get it. Mid-20s usage, 5K. I like those flyers, particularly against a Washington team in disarray.
Yeah, I mean, the spot's good. Like, I'll give you that. It's just, I don't know. I have so much trouble seeing him, like, ever hitting an actual ceiling.
The other thing that's really interesting to me is that he's basically one of the only, like, relevant guys in his price range. He's a shooting guard, but the guys around him are like Damian Dotson, Terrence Ross. Not the same guys that have like his sort of skill set. He's very clearly the best player out of all of those guys, and that's sort of where I lean.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, if that's who he's priced around, then I would have interest on FanDuel. On DraftKings, it's just like so easy to get different guys in that it doesn't seem necessary.
Yeah. Let's hop back to the sheet here. Jeremy Grant, 4,000 on DraftKings is probably pretty appealing.
Yeah, he's another one. Like I think it's a good point per dollar play. It's someone asked about him specifically yesterday, and it's kind of the same answer for me. It's a really good point per dollar play in that he's very likely to go out and get you right around 6x. It also kind of sucks in tournaments because he's very likely to only get you like 24 points. So it's kind of like depends on the format, depends what you're looking for. But if you were talking about Jeremy Grant ceiling games, this would be one where I think he has a little bit better chance at having one just because Washington has been so bad, rebounding. They play at a fast pace. They're not a good team right now. So there's more opportunities for him to, run into some extra stats.
Yeah, Wizards dead last in both offensive rebounding and defensive rebounding. That's tough.
It's also a homecoming game if you buy into that stuff.
Yeah, I don't. Nerlens, 3,600. Nerlens Noel, 3,600 on FanDuel. Anything?
No.
Okay.
Not unless you think Steven Adams is going to like scratch or something.
Yeah, there's a joke to be made here that I'll just let go. I'm good on OKC.
Yeah, that's it.
Alrighty. We'll move to Dallas. Like and subscribe, people. NBA strategy promo code. Just throwing that shit in there. Mavs 112.25 implied total. Knicks 106.25. So Mavs 6-point favorites at home against the New York Knickerbockers. Okay. We'll start with DeAndre Jordan. I'm hoping that you don't like him, right? I want to throw this to a guy that you do. Who do you like on the Mavs right now?
Luka.
Okay. Sell Luka while I go fill my water.
Okay. Luka is really good at basketball. Also, he has a high usage rate. He has a high assist percentage. Still only 7,400 on DraftKings. I think he's another guy that just because of how involved he is in multiple aspects, rebounding and assists combined with shooting. It's another guy where a lot of the time he's going to go out there and give you like 35, 36 points, and that doesn't win you anything at his price, but it doesn't really hurt you. But he certainly has the ceiling to do more. It's kind of the same as a guy like Bradley Beal, who, I think he's just a really safe play that also has a ceiling, and I love being able to find guys like that in tournaments. So I think that he's a really good play. Beyond that, you have it's a perfectly fine spot for DeAndre. He's a little more expensive than I would like, but it's still a good spot for him. Dennis Smith Jr. at 5,500, I think, is still way too cheap. In general, on DraftKings, the Mavs, I think, are still way too cheap just because they've been running a really tight rotation where their starters are getting 34 to 36 minutes easily, like every night. And I think that their price tags on DraftKings at least are just too low.
I have returned, and I agree with you. Luka, Dennis Smith, although I don't know about his minutes. Harrison Barnes, Wes Matthews, all better prices on DraftKings than they do on FanDuel. Outside of Barnes at 6K on FanDuel, I probably won't have much of this. I wish I did. Luka at 81 is a tough sell for me. Dennis Smith at 6,500 is a tough sell for me. Only guy that I would actually have any interest in here is DeAndre because he's 8,600 on FanDuel and 8,300 on DK. And they're playing the Knicks, and the Knicks have, guys that aren't great at center defensively. So I would take a look at DeAndre, but I don't have a ton of interest in the Mavs on FanDuel.
What happened with Dennis Smith against the Lakers?
I don't know. I don't know I don't know.
I say something about them running tight rotations, and then I pull up this shit.
I can't figure it out, which makes me interested in JJ Barea today at 4K on FanDuel.
Yeah, he got 25 in that game, closed.
That's the part that concerns me.
It's just I think that game was probably an anomaly, but it's kind of scary. So Wes Matthews led the team with 31.6 minutes in that game. In every game for the last at least 3 or 4, It was just a matter of if the starters played 34 or 36 minutes.
What would you think JJ Barea plays today then?
15, 16.
Okay.
Would be like my median projection. Clearly, he can play more if they go with that rotation again.
Yeah, that one's a mystery to me. They love Barea, just like the Mavs in general.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd been kind of surprised with how they were using him up until that game, just because like he basically was playing strictly backup minutes.
Yeah. He's going to be
Which,
a guy that I definitely have shares of at 4K on FanDuel.
yeah, I mean, there's certainly the upside if he does get minutes like that again. I would say the one thing that concerns me is, yeah, he played 25 minutes, but he still played all of those minutes with Dennis Smith Jr. on the bench. And the game plan for the rest of this, going forward, it's not like, oh, we're just going to play Dennis Smith 24 minutes a night.
Right.
No, if they had been playing Barea alongside Smith and running, like some different lineups, then I would be really interested in Barea because it would show, some kind of a change in philosophy. But they still used him exactly the same. They just played his unit more.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to take that shot.
Yeah, I mean, whenever that's why I think when you're making tournament projections, if you're max entering stuff, like obviously this isn't the kind of guy that you're playing in like 3 max, but I think that it's important to keep in mind like who the high fantasy point per minute guys are, that if for some reason they find their way onto the floor, they're going to be very productive. The JJ Barea, Mason Plumlee, Sabonis, those types of guys, because most backups in the NBA, even if they get 5 or 6 extra minutes, it's not making it worthwhile to like put any of your eggs into that basket. But guys like Barea, those high point per minute guys, Boban, obviously the top example, if they just get a handful of extra minutes than their median projection, they suddenly become a very, very useful play.
Yeah, Barea on a point per possession basis, I have him at 0.51. I have to go north in salary on FanDuel all the way to D'Angelo Russell at 6,800 before I get to another guy that's higher than his number. Everyone else is in like the low 4s or the 3s. He's ahead of Ricky Rubio on a per possession basis. So that's the type of guy that I want to get if something goes squarely for Dennis Smith. Barea should be hyper efficient at a 4K price point.
Yeah, it's something I think I've seen Alsimo talk about a couple of times. Like, to win tournaments, you kind of need your projections, as far as median projections go, to be wrong, because like you need outlier events to win a tournament.
Yeah.
And you don't want to just like start making lineups for like random shit that could happen. But one way that you can just maximize your ceiling for outlier events is just making sure to project the super, super productive guys like Barea to get like their ceiling in minutes, just so you have, like you said earlier, just like a couple of bites at it if you do get 25 minutes of Barea.
Yeah, somebody actually asked me something like this in the Slack today. It was like, hey, when I'm doing my crunches for 150, I'm getting projections around 300, but, winning lineups are usually like 340, 350. And my answer was basically like, you shouldn't ever get your projections to spit out things that look like tournament winning lineups unless you've already adjusted them for that sort of thing. I mean, your projections need to be lower because what you're looking for are like one standard deviation away games from 8 guys.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, no matter how much you liked De'Aaron Fox yesterday, like I absolutely loved him. I think I probably had him projected for like 42 or something.
Right.
42 was really good for his price, and it's going to still, if my highest projected lineup is guys like that, I'm still going to be projected for like 320, not 380.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, you need if you have a tournament winning lineup, all of their projections were pretty statistically significantly wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Wrong as in distance away from what that projection was.
Wrong. Right. Not necessarily wrong as in relative to the rest of the field.
Right. Correct. Knicks?
They're a team.
They are certainly a team. Ntilikina, 4,100 on DK, is probably the most appealing guy out there. There's a lot of like really good crap value on DraftKings here. The floor is yours. They're not guys that I'm going to have a ton of. Only guy that I'd have any interest in really would be Cantor on FanDuel. Otherwise, I don't know.
I'm going back to the Noah Vonleh well.
I've been on that train recently. Now he's up to 5,700 on FanDuel.
That's steep. He's still 48 on DraftKings. My concern with Vonleh and my concern with anyone on the Knicks is just I don't have any confidence that this rotation like stays consistent in any way, shape, or form.
No.
But Vonleh, I've been really impressed with his his potential assists, his assist percentage this year. Like he's getting a ton of rebounds, which we would expect, but he's not a high usage guy. And so normally he's someone that as he becomes popular and his price tag starts to rise, I become really, really like price sensitive to him. But he's doing so much in the way of passing and picking up assists or, at least potential assists that I think it makes him, a little bit higher floor and a higher ceiling than normal. So I do still like Vonleh at 4,800, just kind of going back and looking, 4 assists, 2 assists, 4 assists, like obviously 4 assists isn't a ton, but when you're talking about a guy like Vonleh who's gonna pile up rebounds and then do get 8 to 12 points scoring, like it just kind of makes a difference for guys at that price tag.
Yeah, Vonleh on October 26th on FanDuel was 4,100. He is now $1,600 more expensive than that. So I liked him at that price point. I don't like him here on FanDuel, but at 4,800, much more appealing. You want Dotson, 4,400 on DK? Hard to pass that up, I guess.
Yeah, I'm pulling him up. I can't get the game log or the rotations on Popcorn Machine for this one, but I'm assuming Dotson played like 30, 32 minutes last game.
Yeah. Dotson, Ntilikina, Mitchell Robinson, all these guys are just significantly more appealing on DraftKings.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all guys that like I don't want my night to rest on, but there's certainly upside for these guys that are, playing 30 to 32 minutes at low to mid 4K price tags. They're not particularly good basketball players is the issue. In Ntilikina's case, he's not a good fantasy player.
Correct.
But yeah.
I don't have anything else in this game. The Knicks this game will be the least exposed game I have.
Yeah, that's it from this one.
Want to talk chalk?
What'd you say?
Do you want to talk chalk?
Oh, sure.
The Utah Jazz hosting the Memphis Grizzlies. 108 implied total for the Jazz. 100.5 for the Grizzlies. That's starting to feel a little bit more accurate. Grizzlies worst implied total on the slate. Utah Jazz without Donovan Mitchell tonight, which means $6,200 Ricky Rubio, $5,700 on DraftKings. Rubio is the chalk point guard of the day. I have a hard time disagreeing with it. What are your thoughts on Ricky Rubio?
Yeah, I mean, I like Rubio. I've liked him at his price tag anyway, and Mitchell being out obviously shouldn't hurt things. So yeah, no problems with Rubio.
I completely agree. I like him. He's 6,200. I clearly understand why the field would be on him.
Yeah.
It's just a good spot. What?
57 on DraftKings.
Yeah. Speaking of guys that are cheaper on DraftKings, 10,100 on FanDuel for Rudy Gobert, 8,200 on DK, a $1,900 price difference.
Yeah, I think a difficult matchup for him regardless, but certainly more attractively priced on DraftKings.
Here's a question from the chat, and I'm just going to read it, and I would like your thought process on it. I don't understand why Josh doesn't realize the opportunity cost for continually going back to guys like Lou Williams and Fournier when these guys hardly ever do anything to help you win a tournament.
If they score a lot of fantasy points, it helps you win a tournament. I don't get it.
Okay. Just checking. I would love for you to put me in my place if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, I mean, there are certainly opportunity cost arguments, but for those two, I don't think it's there. I mean, guys that go out and shoot a bunch and project to be like good plays, it's not like either of them are low ceiling guys.
That would be the way that I would describe that as well. If Lou Williams was some like 14% usage clown at 5K, I would have zero interest in it. My interest is in the fact, yeah, but he is the type of guy that can be there. I don't if I expected that every day out of Lou Williams, he'd be $7,000.
Right. Yeah, like I would gladly place a side bet with anyone that Lou Williams scores 40 real points in a game at least once this season.
Same.
Probably more than that.
I completely agree. Yeah, what did Lou Williams finish? He was like 6 point something X last night.
I don't think he even got to 6 because he didn't do anything else.
You're thinking DK and not FanDuel.
Yeah, you're right.
He was 5,000 yesterday, put up 29.2 fantasy points in 24 minutes. He took 19 shots in 24 minutes and 7 free throws. I mean, he's basically shooting every time. He had a 44% usage rate. How many minutes does Lou Williams play yesterday if that game doesn't go squirrely?
Yeah, that's another, like, looping back to the Lou Williams thing. Like, his minutes have become, at least for a ceiling projection, it's become easier to project him for like 28 because we have seen more of those small ball lineups to close. Whereas he was sometimes getting squeezed out before and was only getting like 24 minutes. You're seeing him close at the 3 a lot, and that is really good for his minutes projections.
Yeah. I mean, this dude is straight gunning.
It's what he does.
The fact that he took 19 shots, like, you kind of just have to pause for a second and think, he almost took one shot every minute.
Yeah.
It's insanity. It's absolute insanity. Dude scored 26 points, and so he scored a real point per minute. I'm in. Anyway, back to this. Jazz. Lots of guys on the Jazz with better price points than on FanDuel. What do you think of Jingles? 6,300 on FanDuel, 6,800 on DK.
It's just really tough for me to get to him at that price tag in a slow game against a good Memphis defense.
Yeah.
Like, the assists and everything have been nice. It's just, I don't know. If Ingles goes out there and puts up like 40 plus points, then whatever, I can live with it.
I got to go back to this Lou Williams thing again. Clark said, lose 31 points might have helped you cash something, but win, probably not. I don't make my lineups to beat 100,000 other people. Like, you can't. Otherwise, you're just going to be taking all of these like 1% flyer dudes. There needs to be some like ballast in your lineup. It can't just like, I can't just think, oh, is he going to be one of the guys that can be, 2 standard deviations away from what I projected him at? It's tough to go down that road. I would expect him to be in tournament winning lineups. Yes. Could he have been in a tournament winning lineup yesterday on FanDuel? Absolutely.
Well, and like, I mean, I get what they're saying, and it's something that I kind of harped on in tournaments for as long as I've been playing. There are guys where, and it's why like using a 6x multiplier is not the best in my opinion, but there certainly are guys like Jeremy Grant would be one that, I had just talked about, where I think he gets 6x tonight. I don't think he's particularly useful in tournaments because I don't think he's volatile enough to really put up like a good raw point score. But guys like Lou Williams, I think are, last night it wasn't, he had a good game last night, but it still wasn't like a great tournament game. But Lou Williams certainly has the potential to actually have great tournament games.
Exactly.
He hasn't done it yet, but it's certainly there. Like, he does it every season in this role.
If you're going into a tournament, like a 150 entry tournament, thinking I'm going to win this thing tonight, you're going to wake up depressed a lot.
I do that, and you're right.
Yeah, like it's really hard to win. You'll get 1 or 2 of those a season, maybe. Craziness.
But yeah, no, I mean, like, I think that whoever that was in chat is right on the general idea. I just don't think it applies to Lou Williams.
I agree. Or Fournier. Like, I think those 2 are really difficult examples.
Yeah, like, I think they're both guys that have actual 40 plus raw point upside and are cheap.
Yeah. The thought process is sound. Yeah. Those
like,
particular
I'm
examples
a very
are bad.
Big believer, and I guess probably even higher now. But like, I remember getting in arguments with people back, like a couple years ago. People like talking about value plays. Like, I don't have interest in a 3,200 guy unless I think he can actually score me 30 plus fantasy points. I don't care about guys getting 18 for 3K.
Right.
But I certainly agree. And for the mid range guys, like, I want actual 40 plus point upside, not this guy's 5,500 and he can get me 30. Cool. But I just think that Williams and Fournier are both guys that actually have that.
Yeah, perfect example there. They're not be a good example. I mean, Jeremy Grant is, I think, a good one.
Yeah.
I don't know, like Taj Gibson.
Yep.
Low usage guys, basically.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Guys that play a bunch of minutes. They're priced like too low for their minutes, so they project nicely in point per dollar, but they just don't have like the volatility to have a monster ceiling.
Yeah. All right, back at it. Yeah, Jingle's going to be a tough sell, certainly on DK, where he's $500 more expensive. What about the rest of the Jazz guys standing to get some additional run because of Mitchell being out? Any Dante Exum love? Any Royce O'Neal love? Grayson Allen?
Yeah, I'll say I don't really have a whole lot of confidence in where the Mitchell minutes go. I do think that Exum's interesting just because we've seen actually a pretty high usage rate from him this season. And we did against Minnesota. I mean, most of Exum's minutes come, as the backup point guard, but we did see. Oh no, sorry. No, sorry. He closed. My eyes keep jumping on popcorn machine. Yeah, he played down the stretch. He played alongside Rubio. I would expect that we get the backup point guard minutes for Exum, but then also some time alongside Rubio. So he would be my favorite out of the value guys. He's only 3,700 on DraftKings.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, you're just kind of throwing darts at, does Grayson Allen get the minutes? Does Alec Burks, if he's in, get the minutes?
He's out.
Oh, he's already rolled out. Okay, cool.
I'm almost positive that I read that because I specifically looked at the depth chart. So I'll probably be wrong now just to make myself look like an asshole. Burks, doubtful for Friday.
Okay, cool. So that helps. That solidifies Grayson Allen, or it should at least solidify Grayson Allen.
Yeah, Grayson Allen at the flat minimum with Burks out. Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, Exum and Allen. Sure.
Yeah, I'll have a decent amount of Exum. I'll have a decent amount of Allen. Exum 3,800, Allen 3,500. So easy to fit in on FanDuel. And I'll also have a decent amount of Royce O'Neal at 3,500. So flat minimum on FanDuel. Just they're worth taking those flyers. Worst case scenario is I drop him.
Right. Yeah. I wouldn't have interest in O'Neal on DraftKings, but I think that it certainly makes sense on FanDuel. Yeah, I mean, the only thing that sucks is they're playing a really slow team that is good defensively.
Mm-hmm.
So there's certainly the potential, kind of like we just talked about, like for Exum to go and, 6X is $3,700 salary and not win you anything. But I think the usage has been high enough this year that I'll take my chances on him.
I get it. Let's head to Memphis now, where I don't really have a ton of interest in anything. Conley, 7,707K. I mean, I guess this is a good spot for him in a vacuum, but I don't want Mike Conley. I don't really want any Marc Gasol, although the price is kind of appealing. He played a ton of minutes in his last game. Jaren Jackson doesn't seem like he's ever going to stay on the floor. I have a hard time projecting him for the minutes that he should play because he just simply can't keep himself out of foul trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still going to end up playing Jaren Jackson, especially against like a big Utah front court. I'm not overly concerned about the game going small and him being forced off, although I guess maybe it could. But yeah, I mean, the fouls are certainly a legit issue for him.
He's a second percentile big this year, a foul rate, 7.4% foul rate. I mean, he's fouling on 7.5% of every single possession, or of every that's just like every what is that? Why am I so bad at math? 1 divided by 0.075. Yeah, every 13 trips down the floor.
Yeah, that's not great. That's like Dwayne Dedmon territory.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. He's impossible to play in cash, in my opinion, because he can play 18 minutes because he can't get back on the floor. He could also play 30 if he doesn't pick up those fouls, and he's super talented. So GPP only. I don't mind if I get some shares, but this is a tough spot.
Didn't Memphis and Utah already played this season, right?
I don't know.
I think it had like a 220 total, and it hit like 140 or something. The only reason I'm asking is there was a game that I projected to be big, and it went really small, and it sucked. And I'm pretty sure it was actually this matchup. I'm trying to find that. If anyone in chat remembers if they played Yeah, they did it. Okay, so October 22nd, Memphis won 92-84, but Memphis closed with a lineup of Conley, Brook, Conley, Mack, Selden, Temple, Gasol until Gasol fouled out. So they were playing like Wayne Selden at the 4, and they were playing.
Oh,
The Jazz went with to close. The Jazz had Gobert at the 5, Crowder at the 4, Ingles, Mitchell, Grayson. So it's just, I guess, worth pointing out this game went really small last time, and Jaren Jackson didn't really play much in the fourth quarter until Gasol fouled out. So I guess there's even more risk there in the way the game could potentially go.
God, I hate this Memphis Grizzlies team. I really, really, really do.
Yep.
What are you doing with Kyle Anderson? 4,500 on FanDuel, 4,300 on DK. Probably
not playing him.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some.
I just don't want to play a bunch of guys from this game. I respect both teams defensively. I hate the pace. I hate like all the volatility in the rotations from Memphis.
Kyle Anderson's the only guy I'm looking at on FanDuel.
For me, it's kind of like where I like on Brooklyn. I talked about projecting guys to like maximize their projections, but then and that's Memphis is a team where you should be doing that as well. But then it's like I take a step back and I'm like, wait, do I really want to be having a bunch of lineups with like shitty Memphis players against the Jazz popping into them? And I think the answer is no.
Yeah, this is not an appealing game from a fantasy perspective, that's for sure. No disagreement there. You ready to move on? 2 games left?
Yeah.
Phoenix Suns, Toronto Raptors, 108 implied total for the Suns, 116.5 for the Raptors. There are a couple, well, there's one real thing that I like on Phoenix. I don't have a ton of interest in anything else, so I'm going to start with the guy that I like the most. $5,400 TJ Warren. Thoughts? 5,000 on DraftKings.
Assuming he remains in the starting lineup, the usage is certainly there. It's a really difficult matchup that concerns me. But he's not someone I would trust in cash games because it's just a really tough matchup. He's fully capable of disappearing, but in tournaments, he's the kind of guy that I think does have, the monster raw point upside for his price tag, even in a tough matchup, just because he's capable of scoring so much.
Suns defense 10% worse than average on giving up fantasy points. Just FYI, getting that out there now. I'm not going to be going to Booker or Aiden or anybody else really on this team. I'll probably I'll cry a little bit and hate myself by playing some Josh Jackson at $100 above the minimum, but it's the Suns, so I'll take a shot at it.
I'm glad Booker's back so I can stop playing Josh Jackson on DraftKings.
Yeah. I'm glad Booker's back so I can play him a little bit at what I would imagine to be no ownership.
Yeah. I think on DraftKings, Booker and Aiden are both interesting. Their price tags are just really, really low. Booker is another one this season that is just way more involved, handling the basketball, and that's made him less scoring dependent and just a better overall fantasy player. It's a really tough matchup, but 7,700, I think, ceiling wise, it certainly offers a lot. And then DeAndre Ayton here against the Toronto front court, it's not great, it's not bad. Like 7K though, I think leaves you plenty of upside.
Anything else you interested in on the Sun side? It's just a really unappealing spot.
Yeah, it's pretty much just the high upside guys, Booker, Ayton, Warren.
Okay. Toronto, 10-3 for 10-3 for Kawhi on FanDuel, 10-1 on DK. I'm going to have a lot of Kawhi as per usual.
Yeah. I probably won't end up with much.
It's a very different play when between FanDuel and DraftKings. Yep. I mean, there's not a ton of like interesting pay up options at small forward. It's either Kawhi or Durant. It's certainly not Paul George. So I just kind of get to him pretty naturally, both because I think he's incredible and because it's small forward on FanDuel and you got to play 2 of them.
Yeah, I mean, and on DraftKings, like I don't think it's a bad play. Like he probably goes for 50 plus. It's just that in this, again, I've talked about it before. Like in this style of NBA where teams play so fast, there are almost always every slate going to be guys in that 7 to 8K range that go out and give you 55 fantasy points.
Yeah.
So it's not to say Kawhi is capped at 55, but it's just paying 10,100 for a guy that I don't expect to go push 70. That's kind of, if I'm paying over 10K on a reasonably full size slate, it's going to be for guys like Westbrook, Giannis, Davis.
Yeah, I would expect if I played on DraftKings, I would have very little Kawhi.
Yeah, if he ends up in my lineups, fine. I just doubt that I'll end up with much.
Jeff Giacobbe in the chat. Funny, in my tournament last night, the guy that won it had Lou Williams. I like it. Kyle Lowry, 89 on FanDuel, 84 on DK. I don't really have a ton of interest here.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I oppose the spot or Lowry or anything. It's that I'm going to have trouble paying $300 more than Wall, $700 more than Booker, $800 more than Levine, and then $1,000 less than Paul. I would rather play Oladipo than Lowry at basically the same price too.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, $300 either way gets me a guy that I like more.
T McBee, just for fun, Fantasy Cruncher rewind. Lock Lou Williams on last night's slate. 60% ownership caps using actual score. 105 of the 150 lineups above the 361 score that won the GPP. A lot of Lou Will too.
Yeah,
like it. I don't really have much interest in anything on Toronto because I just don't trust this game. I mean, Siakam, I don't know what to do.
Is OG out? No.
I have him in 3,200 on DK. Like, that's fine. $4,500 Danny Green on DK is fine. $4,800 Siakam on DK is fine. Anything can happen here because the Suns are dreadful.
Yeah, if OG were out, I just wanted to go back to Siakam.
Damn, Jacob. Josh has never made a correct pick in his life. Okay. My wife would leave me if that were a true statement. I would be costing her money instead of not costing her a dime. From a DFS perspective, at least. Yeah. I'm a leech in other ways. I don't know what to do with Toronto here. Is there anybody you want to have like a decent amount of volume on?
The prices on DraftKings are just awkward. Like I like Ibaka, I think, at 5,500.
Oh.
Valanciunas is another one of those guys that I'll always play some of in tournaments just because. But yeah, other than that, I mean, if OG is in, it just takes a lot of the shine off Siakam because he's not going to play 36 minutes.
Yeah, I wouldn't talk anybody out of anything here. Maybe Lowry just because of what else is out there, but everybody else is at a price point where in a matchup where I'd be like, yeah, that's completely justifiable. Just don't go crazy.
Yeah, like when I run Cruncher, if I'm getting these guys, then cool. It's just that looking at what we've looked at so far on the slate and then looking at these prices, I don't think I'm going to end up with much. But it has nothing to do with the matchup. It's just that I kind of doubt that I end up getting to them.
Gotcha. Moving on to the final game, Warriors and Timberwolves. Like and subscribe, people. Like and subscribe. Jason Kelly with the line of the day. I don't know about you guys, but when I hate life, I go to YouTube chats and insult people. Makes me feel better. Kudos, Jason Kelly. Alrighty, here we go. 125.5 implied total for the Warriors. 114.5 for the Wolves. 11-point favorites for Golden State at home here. Golden State's defense limiting fantasy points per possession. 6% better than average. Curry, 10-7 on FanDuel, 10-3 on DK. I'm going to have some Curry.
Yeah, as you should. I don't remember if I talked about it before, but it's something that it was a mistake that I realized I'd been making. Again, talking about like medium projections versus tournament projections. When you put, like Steph Curry for, like a 30% usage rate, at least for me, I end up not really getting a lot of him. But that's a pretty big mistake in tournaments because when he's hitting his shots, you're looking at like a 38% usage rate. And so I've started just projecting, Curry at like 38%, Durant at like 35, Clay at like 30, and then just not really playing them together. But it's making it so that I get a lot more exposure to Golden State, which obviously is something that I like.
John Wall, 34% projected ownership on FanDuel. Steph Curry, 8.
I like Steph Curry.
Yeah, exactly. Louis R. Curry matchup proof? ? Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Anybody that can shoot from 40 feet like it's a free throw is probably a little bit matchup proof.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that. When he is just like it's as if like the ball doesn't even touch his hands. He's just like all of a sudden it's just gone, and it goes through the rim like so softly.
Yeah. I don't think there's anyone. There might not be anyone in fantasy that, like, when I'm looking at lineups and I have someone to go and it's Curry, like, I just feel so good compared to, like, almost anyone else.
Yeah, it's like he could have 90 here.
Right.
Just on 18 made threes. How many? So my wife knows nothing about basketball, doesn't follow it, but Clay, I don't know. Like, they talked about Clay on like Good Morning America or one of those shows after the record breaker. If they let him play, how many does he hit for the game?
I didn't even pay attention to when he came out of that game. He played
like 26 minutes or something stupid.
Yeah, I think he played 3 quarters.
Yeah, I mean, he had it with like a bunch of time left in the third quarter.
Yeah.
I said probably 20.
Yeah, so he would have gone for 20.
Yeah, like that would have been the round number that they shoot for.
Yeah,
which is in a way you kind of just want them to let that one fly and just be like, fuck it, they'll be pissed.
I liked Levine's response to Clay just continuing to chuck them. Like, I would do the same thing. That's what he's supposed to do.
Yeah. No one has an issue with it. No player is going to be like, yeah, he shouldn't do that. He's showing us up. That's not a thing in basketball. If you're getting roasted, like,
I mean, it is in some situations, not that early in the game either, but like, you've definitely seen guys get pissed off, like towards the end of games.
Oh yeah, if Clay's doing that with like 90 seconds remaining,
right,
people will get salty. But I mean, if he's gunning in the middle of the third quarter, like, everybody's just got to shut up.
Right.
No one's gonna say a word. Let's go to more of the Warriors here. Durant 10-7 on FanDuel, 9,900 on DK. Again, yes, please.
Who was that? Sorry, I was reading something in chat.
Kevin Durant.
Yeah. Yeah. 9,900. Like, on DraftKings, I think maybe a little bit tougher because he's basically the same price as Kawhi. He's basically the same price as Curry. It's not that I have an issue with Durant. It's just that, those guys are also really, really good, and I like them a lot. It's just kind of an awkward price on Durant.
Yeah. I just have the money left over. Again, this is a FanDuel construction thing. It's easier to fit these guys in now. And these are the type of guys that have like legitimate ceilings. And those are the guys that I want to have more of on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure I'll end up with I'll end up with plenty of Durant. It's just like just looking at the price tag, there's also guys in that price range I'm going to want to make sure that I have.
Draymond Green, 8K on FanDuel. Price is coming up. 69. Nice.
Yeah.
On DraftKings. Are you on Team Draymond?
Yep.
Same.
Yeah. I wish I had more of him last game.
I had a shit ton.
Yeah. I think with 4 minutes left in the Golden State game and in the Lakers game, I basically had JaVale McGee versus Draymond for like, 15 to 30K. Draymond beat JaVale.
Yeah. About Clay, 65 on FanDuel, 61 on DK. I'm cool with it.
Yeah, least favorite out of the group if you end up with him. Cool, though.
Should he be better than that? Should we reevaluate? Doesn't he just get Wiggins?
Oh, I mean, it's a great matchup.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It's just like, I mean, I like Curry and Durant and Draymond more. It's not like a knock on Clay.
I hear you. I know what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, any share of the Warriors, I'm in. I don't have an aversion to any of this stuff.
Yeah, I expect that most of my lineups will have someone from Golden State, and that includes Clay. It's just like, if I'm building one lineup and you ask me who I want to start with, I would name the other 3 guys first.
I completely agree. I assume we're moving to Minnesota, right?
I didn't.
Like, I'm a really big Alfonso McKinney guy.
I didn't know there were other players on Golden State.
Yeah. besides Iguodala, and that's not a fantasy thing. It's just Minnesota. Karl Anthony Towns, 9,500 on FanDuel, 8,900 on DK. You best believe I'm playing Karl Anthony Towns, and I won't like it. Certainly won't. Any Towns for you?
Yeah, center's just not that good today.
Yeah, I don't really see much of a choice in having at least some of him. Last 2 games, 63 fantasy points against the Lakers, 62 against the Jazz. Obviously, the Jazz one a little bit different, but
yeah, I mean,
I'll take it. 16 rebounds in both of those games, I think, is a really interesting stat. I think that tells a bit of a story of like maybe he's working a little harder.
Yeah, that's good to see. Yeah, I mean, basically the way I'll approach Towns is I have no reason not to like him. I'm just going to obviously make sure that my projections reflect that Jimmy Butler is expected to play and that I don't have Towns out there with like a 27% usage rate again. But once, like, assuming that I make sure my projections are as accurate as I can get them, whatever Towns I end up with, I'm cool with.
Yeah, same. I'm gonna have a decent amount. What do we have his ownership at? I think it was kind of high, which kind of concerns me. 9%. Yeah, I'll be miles above the field there. I certainly want more Towns than Chalk Capella. Jimmy Butler, 9,600 on FanDuel, 8,000 on DK. I won't have much, if any, interest in Jimmy Butler here, but on DraftKings, I would be taking a close look.
Yeah, I like the price there. I just think that I'm going to probably end up with, like Levine projected higher. I love Oladipo for 700 more. Yeah, it's another one of those guys where I don't have anything I don't like about Butler. It more has to do with like all the other guys that I do really, really like around him.
Gotta hop to this now. Close. William Clay. Gotta be up near the top of this. Yeah. Clay and Lou Williams similar in terms of percentage of points. Lou Williams is a better fantasy player than Klay Thompson, right? Like, all things being equal.
Well, no, because Clay gets more minutes.
Yeah, what I mean is, like, if Lou Williams were playing Klay Thompson's minutes,
Lou
Williams is a better fantasy player than Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
Okay. It's kind of a discussion in chat. Someone said Klay is like Lou to me, in play every night in GPP.
I do agree with that.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, no, I mean, if Lou Williams was playing 3,600 in a neutral matchup and was the same price tag as Clay, I would play Lou more just because he's not sharing the ball with Steph and Durant.
Yeah. Lou Williams, 0.496 FanDuel points per possession, weighted over the course of the last year or two. Clay, 0.423. Lou, significantly better on a per possession basis.
Yeah.
Hard to think about like that.
Yeah, I mean, whenever Lou would easily have a higher median projection. Obviously, Clay still has the ceiling where he just takes over a game. But, Lou, no matter who he was playing with on the Clippers, he's going to be out there dominating shots.
Yeah.
Whereas Clay is not, unless he's in the midst of setting a 3-point record.
Right. What would Klay Thompson's salary be right now if he were on the Clippers?
I have no idea. I don't even have any, like,
8K or something like that, right? I mean,
fantasy. Okay.
Yeah. No. How much would Klay Thompson make if he were on the Clippers today?
I don't follow basketball that closely to even like have any sort of idea where to start with this. Yeah, it would be up there.
Like, he's only 6,100 on DK because of the team he's on. He'd be in the 8s or 9s probably because he would just be shooting constantly.
Yeah.
Jeff Teague, 5,200 on DK. Yes.
Yeah, is he questionable or?
I think so. Assuming he plays, that's a hard price point to ignore.
Yeah, that's a really cheap price tag.
You go into Derrick Rose today, 6,000 on FanDuel, 5,400. Is everybody going to get bailed out by a late scratch again?
Yeah, I mean, if Teague and Butler are both in, I just don't see going to Rose. Like, it's still okay, I guess, but I think if Tyus Jones is out, then you would still get Rose back up point guard minutes, which would be nice. But
Dustin Bishop, these two have no chemistry. It's so awkward. I feel like we have fantastic chemistry. God, craziness. Sorry, go on.
But yeah, so if Jones is out, I think is a boost for Rose.
Yeah.
Because he's going to get backup point guard minutes, even if Teague's in. If Jones is in, then there's just no way I can go to Rose. Even if Jones is out, it's still not anyone that I'm like super excited about. Like I'd rather still play Teague for 200 less.
Yeah, I can't imagine playing Derrick Rose above Jeff Teague here at a more expensive salary if Teague is playing.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Unless somehow Teague got to like 40% ownership and Rose had 0. But yeah, no, I'm not going back to the Rose well here.
Yeah, without guys being ruled out, it just seems completely unnecessary.
The only way that it becomes a thought process is if Tibbs now is just like going with Rose.
Yeah.
Which is not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, for sure.
But we won't know that till it happens. Like if I told you that Derrick Rose played 34 minutes tonight and everybody was healthy, it wouldn't shock me.
I'd be really, really surprised.
If it were a different coach in a different situation, I'd be surprised. But if anybody's just going to be like, I'm going to play all the old Bulls, it's going to be Tibbs.
Howard plays 38.
Yeah, it's right. Like, it wouldn't shock me at all if he cut Teague's minutes, if Tyus Jones just simply didn't play.
Right, yeah.
Like, this could be a 7-man rotation, and Tibbs could just be like, YOLO. I don't have any other interest in the Wolves side, particularly on FanDuel. All their prices are just sort of where they should be outside of Teague on DK.
Yeah, and I mean, in general, both of these teams, it's like there's 3.5 guys from each team that you have to talk about, and then everyone else is completely irrelevant.
Let's hit positions and get out of here.
Yeah, you can go first.
Okay. Starting at point guard on FanDuel. Give me some Russ. Give me some Steph. I guess a little bit of CP3, but it makes me nervous. Rubio, clearly. And then if we're looking in like the punt area, because I think it's a pretty deep journey from Rubio down, I'll take some Dante Exum.
Yeah, DraftKings, Steph, Rubio, Paul, John Wall, Westbrook. I like Collison as a value.
Big T DFS is saying that we should have a Christmas party so like we can all meet and it won't be like a cold show, which is funny to think about. But if we can have an actual show based on like our side slacks, the level of entertainment can be there. But we just it's just it's just got to be different, unfortunately. Shooting guard. I definitely want some Victor Oladipo. I'm gonna have some Klay Thompson. I'm gonna have some Evan Fournier. Bradley Beal, I think, has a little bit of appeal at 8,200. Most of it is all going to be down in this mid tier. So I want to see, like I said, Klay, Evan Fournier, Eric Gordon, Lou Williams, Dennis Schroeder a little bit. And then for punts, I think Alan Crabb is reasonable. I think Avery Bradley is reasonable. Grayson Allen for sure. Lots to like at shooting guard tonight. It was rare.
Yeah, it's pretty deep. I like Oladipo a ton. Zach LaVine, Beal's price tag's really nice. Devin Booker, shitty matchup, but it's still Devin Booker. If he plays, he's got a ton of upside there. Dante Exum, point guard, shooting guard on DraftKings, I think makes for a really good value play. And then obviously, the mid-range guys that I'm not prioritizing, but there's still certainly merit to guys, like Klay Thompson, Jimmy Butler.
There we go. Small forward. Durant and Kawhi, absolutely for me. And then I have a pretty sizable drop-off. You can talk me into a little bit of Harrison Barnes. TJ Warren is my favorite small forward play, assuming he does start today. I'm going to have a little bit of Kyle Anderson and not be happy about it. And then give me Royce O'Neal as a flat punt.
Yeah, Kevin Durant, Hardaway, Parker, LeVert, Fournier. Small forward kind of sucks.
It does. And that's part of the reason why I'm going to have a lot of Durant and Kawhi. Otherwise, I feel like I'd need to play like 5% of 20 guys, right. And that's terrifying to me. Power forward. All day for Draymond at 8K, and then I'm going all the way down towards the bottom. So give me Rondae Hollis-Jefferson. Give me a little bit of Derek Favors. I want some Jeremy Grant at 4,900, and then I'm probably just straight punting with weird dudes like Kevon Looney or Josh Jackson. The power forward is most subject to change for me right now as we get closer and as I start making individual ownership adjustments.
Yeah, for me, Draymond pretty clearly standing out as the top guy. After that, Rondae Hollis-Jefferson's price tag's nice. Minutes are obviously a concern. Jonathan Isaac, Noah Vonleh, I like both as value guys. And in tournaments, I want to make sure that I have a decent amount of some bonus at power forward solely for the upside. The medium projection obviously isn't that useful, but there's no question that he has a monster ceiling in the spot. If he gets blowout run, if he gets extra minutes, over Turner, like you don't really have to have a reason. We know that he can get those extra minutes, and the upside's huge.
Center, Karl Anthony Towns, faux show. I have interest in Vooch, but 8,900 is a tough sell, so I'll be paying close attention to where his ownership projection lies. Steven Adams has the opportunity to absolutely feast on Dwight Howard. He's a guy that I'll look at closely. And then Miles Turner is simply just too cheap, 6K.
Yeah, DraftKings is kind of a spend down position, I think, because there's like high upside value with Carter and Jared Allen. Clint Capella is underpriced relative to a lot of other guys. Miles Turner has a really nice ceiling, just like Sabonis does. Don't play them together, but getting one of them into a bunch of lineups is a nice way to get some high upside. I like Towns. I like Aiden. We talked about both of them. But yeah, on DraftKings, there's certainly some really nice value at center.
Mike Tyson trying to use the promo code in the chat. I hope your name really is Mike Tyson.
What?
Mike Tyson in the YouTube chat said, how do you use the promo code? Sign up like you're normally going to before you get to a point where you would quote unquote check out. There'll be a place to enter the promo code. That's it, everybody. Hour 55. Becoming just a thing, 2 hours. But I think, you're not going to get this sort of analysis anywhere else. And it's showing in the viewership. 4,000 people a day are watching this stuff, so I love it. Deeper dive coming out today from Laffy. We'll have deep dive coming out today from Laffy. Deeper dive coming up at 5 o'clock today. Adam and Laffy. Live stream tonight. Chris and Eddie will have Andrew and Ben on at 2:30 breaking down last night's Niners-Raiders game, which was a game that happened, and taking a look at a little bit of Week 9 in the NFL. Adam, any other plugs? Am I missing anything?
Nope.
Adam tomorrow with EMAC.
Yeah.
Get it. That's it. Like and subscribe. NBA Strategy is the promo code. 7-day free trial, including any package with Fantasy Cruncher. Link is in the chat right now on where to join. Thank you to whoever did that right now, whether that's Tom or I assume it was Tom or Brett. Tom or Brett, one of the two. Thank you. And that's it, guys. Best of luck today. Have a good weekend. And Adam and I will be back Monday morning. Later, guys.